During our previous sessions of this series, we looked into the idealistic underpinnings of various Western philosophies in history that contrast with Schopenhauer's pragmatic approach as expressed in his flagship book, The World as Will and Representation. And both these views are open to the correction. Firstly, that object and representation are the same thing. That the true being of objects of perception is their action. That the actuality of the thing consists exactly in this. And that the demand for the existence of the object outside the representation of the subject, and also for all real being of the actual thing distinct from its action, has no meaning at all and is a contradiction. Charlespeirce adds the following to this view. To say that there was no action is to say that there was no actuality. And the philosophy of Williamjames, more well known as pragmatism, is based on subjective aspects in regard of conceptual definition. Pragmatism reduces hence the problem of truth to the possibility of verification. Truth is no longer a fixed relationship between representation and its object, but as James expressed it, true ideas are those that we can assimilate, validate, corroborate, and verify. Thus, pragmatism does not part with absolutism, but tries to find it in the process. Truth happens to an idea. It becomes true, is made true by events. Its verity is in fact an event, a process, the process namely of its verifying itself, its verification. Its validity is the process of its validation. It turns out that truth, according to pragmatism, is hidden in the sphere of the changeable, which leads either to the dissolution of the concept of truth into relativism or to a new kind of self-contradictory idealism regarding the verification criteria as among the philosophers of the Vienna Circle, like for example Karl Popper. The assumption of an independent objective reality in relation to us remain in any case completely meaningless and irrelevant for the desiring individual who is addressed by the normativity. But if there were no willful individuals, then there would be no normativity at all, and objectivity, according to Shestov, if we seriously take it into consideration, requires us that we do not attribute to nature any of the properties that are inherent to a thinking person who strives for certain goals. While, as Heidegger stated, from the very beginning, being in the world is disposed to take things in any way, to suppose to be certain, to have fate a way of behaving, which itself is always a founded mode of the being in the world. And even if we, as Heidegger asserts, always stand before the truth, that means the unlocked structure of reality, we will have to make a verbal fixation of concepts in order to communicate judgment about it. This in turn requires its interpretation, that is, the presence of a relation based on our own conditions that ruinously affects the absolute objectivity. So on what basis it is even possible to speak about reality as such? And where does the criterion of its authenticity come from, if not from ourselves and as well as for ourselves?